The moment my daughter Monica pressed the steaming mug of hot chocolate into my hands, her smile was warm, her eyes bright with a sweetness that took me back to her childhood. "Mom, try this chocolate," she said, her voice soft, almost pleading, as if we were sharing a sacred moment. I was 68, my hands worn from years of raising her alone in our small Ohio town, my heart full of love for the daughter I thought I knew, the girl I'd poured my life into. But as I lifted the mug, a faint, bitter scent, almonds, sharp and unnatural, cut through the rich cocoa, a warning that froze my blood. My stomach twisted, instinct screaming over the love I'd clung to for 30 years. I smiled back, my heart pounding, and said, "Just a sec, let me grab some sugar." In the kitchen, I switched my mug with her husband David's, my hands trembling but steady enough to hide my fear. 20 minutes later, he was writhing on the floor, clutching his throat, his face contorted in agony. That night, while Monica slept, I searched her house and found the truth, a vial of cyanide, diaries detailing 2 murders, and a file labeled Mom Hope. Final plan. She planned to poison me for my inheritance, to erase me like I was nothing. The next morning, I handed everything to the police, my heart shattering as they arrested her. David survived, barely. But when I faced Monica in jail, her words cut deeper than any poison. "I never loved you, Mom. You were just easy to control." After 30 years of love, I realized I hadn't raised a daughter, I'd raised a predator, and the truth broke me more than her betrayal. Before I tell you how it all unraveled, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and drop a comment with the city you're watching from. I want to know where this story finds you. Monica was my only child, born when I was 30, a single mother scraping by after her father walked out, leaving us with nothing but a rented apartment and a stack of bills. I poured my soul into her, every dime from my diner shifts, every sleepless night sewing her dresses, every tear I wiped when she fell, every hug I gave when she succeeded. She was my light, her laughter filling our tiny home, her crayon drawings pinned to the fridge like masterpieces. I thought we were close, even as she grew into a woman with a sharp edge, her charm too polished, her smiles too calculated, her eyes sometimes cold when she thought I wasn't looking. She married David 5 years ago, a kind man, a mechanic with steady hands and a quiet laugh that warmed my heart. I thought she'd found happiness, that our Sunday dinners, filled with stories and laughter, were proof of the bond we'd built. I ignored the signs, the way she'd snap at David over small things, the way her eyes lingered on my bank statements when I paid for groceries, the way she'd ask about my will with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I loved her too much to see the darkness, too much to believe she could hurt me. That Christmas, I was staying at their house, a cozy 2-story just outside town, decked with twinkling lights and wreaths, the kind of home I'd dreamed of giving her when we were scraping by. Monica had insisted I come for the week, her voice warm over the phone. "Mom, it'll be like old times," she'd said, and I'd believed her, packing my bags with a heart full of hope, eager to feel close to her again. That night, after a dinner of roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans, she brought out the hot chocolate, her face glowing with excitement, her hands steady as she handed me the mug. "I made it special, Mom," she said, her eyes fixed on me, almost hungry, a look I couldn't place but that made my skin prickle. I lifted the mug, the steam warm against my face, but that scent, bitter almonds, faint but unmistakable, stopped me cold. I'd read enough mysteries, heard enough news stories about poisonings, to know what it meant. Cyanide. My heart raced, my mind scrambling to make sense of it. Monica, my daughter, my baby, could she really mean to harm me? I couldn't believe it, not yet, but I wasn't going to drink, not with that smell burning my nose, not with her eyes watching me like a hawk. "Needs a little sugar," I said, forcing a laugh, my voice steady despite the panic rising in my chest. I stood and headed to the kitchen, my legs shaky but my face calm, a mask I'd perfected over years of hiding my struggles for Monica's sake. David was in the living room, sipping his own mug of hot chocolate, watching a football game on TV, his face relaxed, oblivious to the danger. I swapped our mugs quickly, my hands trembling as I poured a pinch of sugar into his to mask my actions, my heart pounding with the weight of what I was doing. "Here, try this one," I said, handing it back to Monica for me, my voice light as I returned to the couch, pretending to sip, watching David from the corner of my eye. 20 minutes later, he gasped, his mug crashing to the floor, the dark liquid spilling across the rug. He clutched his throat, his face turning gray, his body convulsing as he collapsed, his eyes wide with pain and confusion. Monica screamed, dropping to her knees beside him, but her eyes, God, her eyes, held no panic, only a cold calculation, like she was measuring the scene, assessing her next move. "Call 911. I shouted, rushing to David, my hands shaking as I checked his pulse, weak but still there, my heart breaking for him even as it raced with fear. Monica fumbled with her phone, her voice trembling as she spoke to the operator, but I saw the flicker of control in her movements, the way she glanced at me, as if checking whether I suspected her. The paramedics arrived within minutes, their sirens cutting through the quiet night, stabilizing David and rushing him to the hospital. Monica played the distraught wife, her tears perfect, her hands ringing just right, her voice breaking in all the right places. But I knew better. That smell, her insistence, her eyes, they told a story she hadn't meant for me to read, a story that shattered the love I'd held for her. While she stayed at the hospital, claiming she needed to be by David's side, I told her I'd grab her a change of clothes from home. Instead, I searched their house, my heart pounding, my love for her warring with the dread growing inside me like a cancer. In her bedroom, under a loose floorboard I found by accident when my foot caught on it, I discovered the truth that broke me. A small vial labeled cyanide, half empty, its contents matching the bitter almond scent that had saved my life. Beside it, diaries, years of her thoughts, written in her neat, deliberate hand, each page colder than the last. She detailed 2 murders, her college roommate, who'd accidentally overdosed on pills, leaving Monica a small inheritance, and a coworker, killed in a hit-and-run she'd orchestrated, pocketing an insurance payout. Each entry was meticulous, emotionless, a predator's log of her conquests. Then, I found a file labeled Mom Hope. Final plan. My hands shook as I opened it, my breath catching as I saw my bank statements with my savings circled, $200,000, my nest egg for Monica and her future children, notes about my life insurance policy, a timeline ending with Christmas 2025. She'd planned to poison me, to erase me for money, to take everything I'd saved for her and leave me dead. My knees buckled, tears burning my eyes as I sank to the floor, clutching the file, the weight of her betrayal heavier than any grief I'd known. My daughter, my light, had planned to kill me, and the love I'd given her was nothing but a tool in her hands. I sat there for hours, the house silent except for the ticking of a clock, my heart breaking with each revelation. Memories flooded me, Monica's first steps, her laughter as we baked cookies, the nights I held her through storms, whispering that she was safe. Had it all been a lie? Had she ever loved me, or was I just a mark, a stepping stone to her greed? I wanted to scream, to tear the diaries apart, but I didn't. I photographed every page, every note, every damning word, my hands steady now, my grief buried under a resolve as cold as her plans. I wasn't just saving myself, I was saving anyone else she might hurt, anyone else she might see as easy to control. The next morning, I drove to the police station, my hands gripping the wheel, my heart heavy with the weight of what I was about to do. I handed over the vial, the diaries, the file, my voice calm as I recounted the night, the bitter almond smell, the mug swap, David's collapse. The officer, a kind man with tired eyes and a badge that read Sergeant Miller, listened, his face hardening as he read Monica's words, his jaw tight as he flipped through the file. "This is enough for an arrest," he said, his voice low, his eyes meeting mine with a mix of pity and respect. They arrested Monica that afternoon at the hospital, where David was recovering, his survival a miracle the doctors couldn't fully explain. She didn't cry, didn't scream, just stared at me as they cuffed her, her eyes cold, no trace of the daughter I'd raised, no hint of the girl I'd loved. David, still weak in his hospital bed, looked at me with gratitude and horror, his voice hoarse as he thanked me for saving his life, tears in his eyes as he realized the woman he'd married was a monster. I nodded, unable to speak, my heart too heavy with the truth, the love I'd given Monica now ashes in my hands. I visited Monica in jail a week later, needing to understand, needing to see if any part of my daughter remained beneath the predator she'd become. She sat across from me, her face blank, her eyes those of a stranger, no warmth, no remorse. "Why?" I asked, my voice breaking, tears spilling over despite my resolve. "You were my world, Monica. I gave you everything. She leaned forward, her voice low, venomous, each word a blade twisting in my heart. I never loved you, Mom. You were just easy to control, always so desperate for my love, so blind to who I am. Her words cut deeper than any poison, deeper than the betrayal, deeper than the cyanide she'd meant for me. 30 years of memories, her first steps, her laughter, the nights I held her through nightmares, flashed before me, now tainted by the truth that she'd never been mine, not really. I hadn't raised a daughter. I'd raised a predator, a woman who saw love as a tool, trust as a weapon, and me as nothing more than a means to an end. The trial was swift, the evidence overwhelming. Monica was sentenced to 20 years, attempted murder for David, conspiracy to murder me, and investigations opened into her past crimes, the roommate and co-worker whose deaths had been written off as accidents. The town buzzed with gossip, neighbors who'd once called her sweet Monica now whispering about her coldness, her lies, their eyes avoiding mine at the grocery store, their pity a weight I didn't want. David divorced her, rebuilding his life with a quiet strength, his gratitude to me a small comfort in the wreckage of my heart. I sold my house, unable to live with the memories of Monica's visits, her smiles that I now knew were lies. I moved to a small apartment near my niece Emily, who became the family I'd lost, her kindness a balm to my wounds. I still see Monica's face in my dreams, her smile from that night, the mug in her hands, but it's not her I mourn. It's the daughter I thought I had, the love I gave so freely, now reduced to ashes. I keep the diaries, locked in a safe, not to hurt myself but to remind me of the strength I found in my pain, the fire that carried me through the betrayal. Sometimes, I sit by my window, watching the sunrise over the Ohio fields, and wonder where I went wrong, if I could have saved her from the darkness inside her. But I know now, some people are born with a coldness no love can warm, a hunger no sacrifice can fill. I survived, not just the poison, but the truth, and that's my victory, my fire, my strength. Thank you for listening to my story. It's raw, it's real, a piece of my soul laid bare, a testament to the strength born from heartbreak, the power that rises from pain. If it broke your heart or lit a spark in you, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment with your city, I'd love to know where you are. And if you've ever been betrayed, don't let it bury you. Turn it into fire, into strength, into something that's yours.